what's up, everybody? Welcome to Simply Cyber Live. It is Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which means we are going to be speaking with cybersecurity industry experts and dropping massive amounts of knowledge up in your face. I hope you're ready for a barn burner today. Look at this guy right here. Take a good look at him. This is Gary Ruddell. This dude, he is English, so, let's get that out of the way. But he's a cyber threat intelligence analyst. He's incredibly impressive. Love this guy. He's a YouTube content creator, so you're going to want to giddy up on that. And the dude got his OSCP just for kicks, right? He wanted to be a better practitioner. He went and got it. We're going to be asking about all that. Normal standard operating procedures go for Simply Cyber Live. We are going to take all your questions, so throw them in chat. We love the community. We love our guests. We're going to have a good time. I hope you're super pumped. If you want to learn a thing or two about cyber threat intelligence, open source intelligence gathering, being a super BA at cybersecurity, stay tuned. We're going to get Gary, and we're going to do it. Let's do it. Ellen, Gary, what are we doing? I'm like full screening myself right here. Jesus, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. That was
All
a
right.
very intense intro. I like that.
Oh, dude, yeah, I come with the fire. Okay, like I got one speed, it's wide open, and I haven't even had coffee in the last like 6 hours. Usually, you catch me in the morning. Oh, forget about it. So, anyways, Gary, thanks for being on the show. I'm super pumped. Hey, everybody in chat, I see tons of people. You definitely paired with your channel as well. So I see people like Gregor out in Germany, Gregor Letek in here. So it's cool. Gary, how long you been in cyber and why do you love it?
2017, I guess, is when I really got in. First job. So 6 years. That's crazy. That's flying by. That blows my mind. Um, and yeah, it's just great. It's one of those. Being ex-military, you always sort of feel like you're involved in the sort of current affairs landscape.
Hmm.
And when I left that and got into like risk management in banks and stuff, you sort of get removed from that. So you're sort of watching the news rather than being a part of it.
Hmm.
But in cyber, you're very much a part of the news. Like I sort of feel involved again, it's odd.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put you over here so I can properly frame you and bring you in here. So first of all, I just want to point out to people, he said 2017. Okay, so that's even 6 years flying by in the blink of an eye. That's still relatively young, I would argue, in a cybersecurity career. And you already have gotten your OSCP. You're already crushing it as a cyber threat intelligence analyst. So kudos to you for like grabbing the bull by the horn and getting up on it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a good journey. I don't know what's next though. It's a funny you find a role that you really like and then you're kind of like I don't know what to do next. I don't want to go to GRC or I don't want to go, you know what I mean? It's like
Hey,
yeah.
don't give GRC a break, man.
I,
We're people. We're people too.
I don't want to paint with red, amber, and green on spreadsheets and squeeze text into PowerPoints all day. I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, I know. Of course, I love it. I love it. But so I mean, you've been doing cyber threat intelligence analyst stuff. Now you got the OSCP. Like, I guess I got a couple questions for you. One, how was getting the OSCP, and would you recommend now that you've gone down the path and gotten it? Would you recommend somebody who's aspiring cyber threat intelligence analyst look at OSCP or look at OffSec? Like, what's the benefit? What's the value?
I think for me, the main benefit was around confidence, I guess. Uh, I came from, well, I was fairly technical. Like I had been building websites and playing with virtual machines and things in my spare time, weirdly back in the day. And then when I was in the military towards the end of my career, I did sort of manage like a local area network
Hmm.
uh, before I left and went into the civilian world. So I had some hands-on experience doing this stuff. But cyber was completely new. And to me, cyber meant hacking, the sort of the military mindset, the attack sort of mindset. And after doing a little research, I knew that sort of OSCP, certainly back then, there's a lot more competition now. There's all sorts of certifications, but uh, back then, OSCP was the one that everybody was talking about in the forums, and it was the sort of scary 48-hour long one. Um, and for me, it was about sort of getting that little card and that piece of paper and going, yeah, I did it,
Hmm.
very much a mental thing rather than I've never really used those skills in the wild, in a really meaningful way. But I feel good that I've got it. So yeah, yeah.
That is interesting because I'm not a pen tester, right? I'm a GRC guy, right? So I'm CISO build programs and stuff like that. And I dabble with OffSec, but when people ask me like, oh, can you hack? Can you like whatever? And I say, yeah, like I mean I know how to do it, but I've never ever professionally had a need to like ever unless you're trying to like do an end user awareness training and you're trying to like basically put on a little magic show or something like that and show them something kind of fun. That's really the extent of it. So I hear you. A lot of people in chat may resonate with this. I myself personally, the CISSP back in 2009 was like validation. Yeah, I'm old, Gary. I know. Don't look it, but so it was the validation that I felt like I had achieved, like like I was recognizing myself as a professional, and I really feel like it's combating imposter syndrome. That takes on many different forms and factors, but for me, it was a validation to myself that I belonged in the information security community. And again, like I think my CSSP expired, or I don't even know. I don't even think about it anymore. But it was validation,
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I know like getting your OSCP doesn't make you like Mr. Robot. You're not the best hacker in the world, you know what I mean? But it's not easy, for most people, it's not easy to it's like my body, like my guts, my sleep pattern, everything was messed up for days after that. I was refreshing my emails to see if I passed or not, So it just, yeah, it sort of wipes you out. But yeah, that mental validation, imposter syndrome, someone just said that they can pass OSCP in a month. Good man or good woman, whoever that is, fair play.
no, I think that's a question for you. I mean,
Can I pass OSCP in a month? You you could pass OSCP in 48 hours because that's how long the exam takes, if you can get onto it. It really depends on your background. If you're popping boxes left, right, and center on things like Hack the Box, there's probably no reason why you couldn't have a go. Funny, I was speaking with someone recently and they were looking to know if they were ready to take OSCP, and I said, well, go and try and do 5 Hack the Box machines just in 24 hours, see how that goes, And I know they're a bit CTF-y,
but
but
it's still a reasonable challenge to like if you don't get any of them, you know what I mean? You'd be like, well, I guess maybe I don't know how to do privilege escalation on a Solaris
yeah,
machine or something.
yeah, totally, totally. And like I spent a lot of time on Google during the OSC during the exam, like trying to figure stuff out because you can't know everything. If you read the manual, that's not enough to pass. You need more than what's in the manual. So
Oh, that's
bear
good.
bear that bear that in mind if you're going
That's
for
good
it.
feedback. That's good feedback. So, hey, like, nice segue. Guys, if you're like, oh, OSCP is for me, but I need more than manual because Gary said so, let's talk about Gary Ruddle's YouTube channel. Look at this hotness right here. Gary, tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, bro.
Oh man. Well, it's not as glamorous or as big as yours yet. You've got a seemingly infinite amount of videos, which I absolutely applaud. Seriously, hats off. Everyday commitment. I had the cold like last week, and I'm just getting rid of it now. So yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. Yeah, I mean the YouTube stuff kind of came. Uh, a lot of people were messaging me on LinkedIn asking about cyber stuff. I don't even remember how that started, why people started asking me things, but they
Hmm.
did. And a couple of people had asked the same things, and I was like, maybe I should just write a blog on this. This is an extension of that. This is a way of sort of having fun. I'm quite creative. I'm a photographer at heart, so I got cameras, and I've always been doing websites and things back in the day. So I sort of naturally enjoy YouTubey type stuff.
Yeah,
Although
it's a
it
lot of
is
fun. It is a lot
it's a
of
lot of
fun.
fun. It is a lot of work as well, especially what you're doing. But It is a lot of work.
And I want to call everybody in chat's attention to this thumbnail right here. I cannot get enough of this thumbnail. Go to Gary's channel right now at Gary Ruddle Official. This says, "Let's find Sherlock Holmes hideout," but it's like the picture from the show Sherlock with Lucy Liu and Johnny Lee Miller, and then Gary is like superimposed himself in the window, peeking in. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Well, my wife took that photograph of me looking in through our. We got these bifold doors in the living room. I don't know if do you have that in America? Do you have that bifold door term?
Yeah. Typically,
Yeah.
you see it into like a sitting room or something.
Yeah, yeah. So we got those into the garden. So yeah, I went in the garden, peeked in, and she snapped it on the iPhone. So just slapped it together.
Nice, nice. It's very, very cool. So most of your content, though, is it cyber threat intelligence analyst stuff? Is it offensive security stuff? What is it?
I'm still sort of in the test phase, really. Like just today, YouTube got this new feature where they tell you like your week in review in the Studio app, and they give you sort of the top 3 reasons why people are on your channel, and one of them was OSCP, but the top one was OSINT, and the third one was OSINT. So I'm like, do people want more OSINT stuff? Because I can make OSINT's easier than cyber, right? Because like cyber is, it's tough sometimes thinking, right, we're going to jump into the command line now and spend hours making sure that I actually remember to articulate the switches for Nmap properly and the switches for all the other tools that we're going to have to talk about. So yeah, it's
production of tech hands-on at the elbow can be very, very daunting. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm still testing it out, trying to figure out what there is, and I've got an ebook coming out on Cyber Threat Intelligence 101, which is kind of like, people have messaged me saying, how do I get into CTI? And I look on their profile, and they're not even in cyber, right? They're not even doing anything technical. This book would be good for them because it gives them like all the big touch points, the things that how CTI works, where it adds value, things that you need to go and research, like MITRE ATT&CK, OpenCTI, MISP, all that sort of stuff. So,
that's very cool. When's that coming out?
I don't know. It could come out on my birthday next month or my wife's birthday the month after. So that would give me enough time. I launched my video course on my wife's birthday last year. So that could be quite happy birthday, darling.
Yeah, happy birthday. Here's a project for me. Yes, I love it. I love it. And I just want to point out, good OSINTing person might detect that we know what month Gary's birthday is, and we know what month his wife's birthday is, and we know the course launched on her birthday last year, so we could go back.
Yeah.
I am by no means an OSINT. Oh, what's his name?
I can't tell you the secret.
Oh, okay. It's because it's your password?
He's named after the actor that's in Mr. Robot.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Really quick, I do want to say what's up to folks in chat. There's just a great audience in chat. Really quick. Jazzy Jazz, Brandon Ness, Gregor, who's watching on both my YouTube channel and your YouTube channel, I think.
Legend.
Which is, thanks for the views. And just, it's really great to see everybody. Jed Ray Ashwalker, Joel, as always. Joel's a cyber threat intelligence analyst, so he's definitely into it. Appreciate everybody being here. Now, I want to just take a minute and share with you guys that I probably wouldn't even have thought twice about his birthday and his wife's birthday and all this. But before we got on stream, Gary was telling me just throwing it out there, like it's just in passing. He's like some of these OSINT adventures he's done, in matter of seconds, he finds anything anywhere. I don't know if you have an example you can share, but the two you gave me were riveting. I know that those two you're going to be making videos on your channel about, so you definitely would, trust me, if you want to get really interesting, entertaining information, subscribe to his channel, because the two stories he told me were mind-blowing and I loved it. But I don't want to, spoil it for your viewers. So share one with us, man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess the real OSINT. So one was finding the Sherlock Holmes guy, the actor Johnny Lee Miller, finding his actual apartment in New York based on OSINT. Because we found his fictional house in the TV show, so let's see if we can find him in reality. And I found it in under a minute. So, and
Yes.
that wasn't based off of like, type in Google and there is his address. No, I had to go to a sleazy news website, found a photograph of Angelina Jolie, who's his ex-wife from the movie Hackers. If you haven't seen Hackers, go watch Hackers.
Classic.
Um, Classic. She left his apartment building and was photographed during COVID with the mask and the big sort of trench coat on. But you could see the doors, the sort of bronzy, goldy sort of doors. And I read online his apartment is in Dumbo, which it turns out is not a big elephant. It's a part of New York. So
Okay. Okay.
into Street View, walking down the street, looking around, and actually where it is in behind some construction. So I was quite lucky that I stumbled across it so quick. But it's a good lesson. Like some of this OSINT stuff is very manual. You have to just walk the streets sometimes and zoom into doors and go, does that look like that one? I think it is. And then you move into sort of confirmation stage. So yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. The other one is the real OSINT. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and you don't have to dox your good stories. I mean, if you have like another one, so people are can, because I don't want people to go to your channel and see the video. I want to go see the video.
Well, they'll come either way, right? But the other one's a real case where I helped out some PIs here in the UK, and they sent me this photograph, which was a screenshot from a video on Instagram, just a screen grab, which was one of the more stable frames of the video, and it was just sort of pink and black, like inside a nightclub, but it was empty pretty much. There was a TV on the wall, and you could see maybe a window and a table, and yeah, I found it in like 45 minutes, and that's it's somewhere in the UK, that place, and I found the exact room that it was taken in. So, and not because there's like some label on the glass that says Jerry's Bar.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. There's
know
a pack of matches with like a very unique logo on it or
yeah,
something.
no identifying marks whatsoever in the image, and a pretty bad quality image as well, like sort of less than 720p, I would say. So yeah, but
Oof.
I'll show you guys how I did both of those on the channel
Oh,
soon.
I can't wait. I gotta make sure that I am subscribed. Okay, so I've got that, and I'm gonna hit the bell for notifications. All right. Don't spam me, Gary. But
I'm
I,
gonna I'm
I'm
gonna
I'm.
I'm gonna go live daily now just to spam you.
Do I go live daily, and I've had people like complain. They're like, "You always showing up in my feeds. Like, calm down." I'm like, you enabled it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Because
So
I got you on LinkedIn and on YouTube, both just yeah hitting me at the same time, man.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it is what it is. So let me ask you this: as a practitioner, um, what's your like go-to OSINT tool? You know what I mean? Is it Recon NG? Is it Google? Is it Facebook? Is it something I haven't heard of? Like, what is it?
I usually start with Google and Yandex, sometimes Bing as well. You'd be surprised actually how good Bing is sometimes. I I think on one of my OSINT videos that I went into Ukraine and I took a Google Street View of a junction.
Hmm.
Uh, and it just happened that it was actually quite a famous building in one of the cities. But it wasn't anything that I knew that, it wasn't like the Eiffel Tower or whatever. It was just a pretty subtle building. And that building has been bombed since during the war. But I put the screenshot into Yandex, Bing, and Google. Um, and yeah, the results were just really interesting. Like it's not necessarily what you expect. And those are obviously the best places to start. I mean, Yandex's face search is incredible. Like it's one of the best. I, who knows why, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, that's usually where I start, and then go wherever it takes me. Because like OSINT things can really vary, and I've done OSINT in the past on executives, like in companies,
Hmm.
where you do executive threat analysis. So you look at their Facebooks and their Instagrams and their kids' Facebooks and their kids' Instagrams, and it's all, very sensitive, NDA stuff. But by the end of it, I said to you earlier, like we knew what wrapping paper they used underneath the Christmas tree. And when you can get to that level of detail with someone, when you sit down with a document, a printed document in front of an executive, and you tell them this is the wrapping paper on your kids' Christmas presents,
Yeah.
that's enough to
You
say,
have
yeah,
that aha moment. You see it in
yeah,
their
yeah.
eyes.
It's yeah. So they tend to listen after that. So yeah, that's been, and when you do those sorts of things, you have to go wherever the wind takes you. If that executive uses a website, you're not going to pen test the website, right? But you might use some basic stuff like burp or whatever to go and
Hmm.
enumerate all the directories and try and find some hidden folders or pages or things, just on the off chance that there's a password there that you can say, hey, you need to get rid of that password.
Yeah.
I don't like to. It's hard to say sometimes what my favorite tool is. I guess this is my favorite tool.
The internet.
Yeah.
Have you integrated AI in any way in your workflows?
My content workflows or my OSINT.
Well, your OSINT workflows, but I do want to get back into the content in a second. But just to wrap up the OSINT convo.
OSINT, not yet, because I haven't really done much of that stuff like professionally lately.
Hmm.
But I can definitely see some really good wins in that space. Hey, ChatGPT, give me the rundown of like Coca-Cola's main headquarters around the world, because you're going to do OSINT and Coca-Cola, and it gives you this great brief. That can
Yeah,
be quite useful, especially at the end when you've got all your information together and you want to produce a good report. You might use AI to help make
clean it
a
up.
clean it up report. That could be quite cool. Um, that's a good business idea for anybody out there watching. And any of the vendors, by the way, Jerry and I want 20% each.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used AI not for. I did a video on the channel of like 5 different kind of cybersecurity use cases in Bard versus ChatGPT, and my first use case was actually writing a threat intel brief for the mayor of city, right? And the hypothetical was mayor saw that Dallas got ransomware last week and wants to know what's the risk of them ransomwaring. Write a brief, and I threw it in there, and Bard did a pretty good job of kind of that situation background assessment recommendation kind of SBAR structure. So another cool, interesting approach.
Yeah.
But yeah, go
It's
ahead.
gonna it's gonna be a game changer eventually. Like the the capabilities. I know we talk about AI, we talk about Chat GPT, and those. I mean, it goes way beyond that, right? Like there's so much more. I think there's a Notion workspace somewhere that some guys created that has like every AI tool that gets released, and it's
Yeah.
thousands of lines long. It's like how do I even digest that?
Yeah, I think I think someone actually sent that to me, DM'd me that the other day, and I looked at it for a second. I was like, I can't. Like it's like overwhelming. I'm like, I can't, what am I gonna do? I can't process this. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah,
pretty cool. I want to turn back to your content creation stuff because someone mentioned it. I think Chris Cahall in chat. I don't really promote this or haven't really told anyone, but I'm actively developing a course that the working title, Gary, is how to or building a YouTube channel for cybersecurity professionals to enhance your networking capabilities. That's a working title, right? So it probably needs to go through Chat GPT, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways, the idea is like getting into content creation and everything that goes with that. But then really, what is the value and how can it impact your cyber career? I have my own stories. It's unbelievable what it's done for me professionally. And I'll just real quick, like my last two jobs, 3 jobs, like I didn't even apply. Like they called me and said, "What will it take you to quit your job and come work for us?" So
yeah.
that's what it's done for me, which is your results may vary, but Gary, like what has been the impact of content creation for you?
Well, hats off to you first. So round of
Uh,
applause,
Thank you.
because that's a nice byproduct probably of creating all this content. That wouldn't be the main reason why you or I would create content to get jobs. It's one of
No,
those
no.
things. It's a strange thing. I mean, I started creating the content so I could just quickly point people towards the answers, and um, same with the blog content and all my little email courses and things that I have. It's just ways of productizing what I know. So when someone says, "Hey Gary, I want to get into cyber, where can I go?" I just say, go check out GaryRuddle.com, read this article, and then come back to me with more questions, like more specific questions.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm trying to not be cheeky about it. I've already answered this question. Go read, go spend some time. And that's kind of for me what it's all about at the minute. Trying to get the knowledge out of my head onto video, onto paper, whatever it is, so that I get less questions.
Hmm.
And it's also a good exercise in creativity. I get to learn like so many video skills. Like I spend so much more time for every YouTube video that I make. Let's say it's 15 minutes long. I've probably watched 3 hours worth of YouTube videos on little editing tips and tricks
Yeah.
for every one of those videos I've made. So I'm learning way more that I'm putting out, and it's forcing me to do that.
Hmm.
And I think as time goes on and we become even more embedded in our devices with our heads down, and it's pretty sad, right, that I'm kind of fueling this along with you in a way, but uh, the attention economy, the creator economy, all that stuff is going to be the future, like the amount of layoffs and things these days. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could all just stand on our own 2 feet a little bit, making content for other people? Everybody's got something to teach someone else,
Yeah, absolutely.
we don't always have access to the technology. I'm sure there's people in rural parts of the world that just genuinely don't have the internet, right? They can't take part in this. But if you have some sort of connection and a phone, like my first 3 or 4 videos were made on this iPhone. Like anybody that's interested, go and watch the first 30 seconds of my first video, and the editing is way more extreme than my recent ones, and that's just done on an iPhone with a little clip-on mic. So you can get everybody on this channel, everybody watching right now has the tech to do what we're doing and teach someone something, um,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that should be the goal, to just share the knowledge. Everything else is secondary, and most of it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, people in chat, I can tell you definitively that there's tons of extra benefits, right? So one, like you don't have to be a 20-year practitioner in teaching like that. Like you could learn something, do a hack the box and then make a video about it, right? Like by making the video, you're also reinforcing your own learning, your own knowledge, right? Like by doing that, you're learning in a different way. You're reviewing it. You're getting intimate with it. It isn't escaping you like 20 minutes after you finish the challenge or the lesson. So you're able to retain it and do stuff with it. You know, there's just massive value to it, and like that the extra benefits and stuff that we mentioned. That's just part of what can happen. But creating content, it's cool. Like I wouldn't have met Gary if Gary hadn't created content,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And like, so it's very cool. It's a network power scaler. It's an opportunity. It reinforces your learning. It's really really cool. I like it. So you're saying if someone wanted to get into it, they could just grab their phone, make up a video. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress.
Yeah, totally. And like it's way more about your skills as an editor than it is about an editor and a storyteller, I guess.
Hmm.
You know, you have to practice. I mean, you watch my first videos. I'm sure my delivery is different than my delivery today. Those first few videos were scripted because they were stories. I was telling stories,
Hmm.
not teaching. When I teach, I have a few notes and I just sort of follow the bullet points and I
Yep.
just freestyle. And so it's much more natural. But yeah, if you want to get started, yeah, just start, record something, copy someone else, take inspiration from another YouTuber that you like, Jerry, whatever it is, copy their style, learn Jerry's setup. Look, he's got a mic. What kind of mic is it?
Yeah.
What's it attached to? It's got an XLR cable. What does that mean? It doesn't plug into a computer, it plugs into a preamp. Is that useful? I use a Rode NTG, that's a USB 3 mic, and just start to learn like some of the mechanisms, but start with this,
Yeah.
and then move forward from there. It's never been easier.
Yeah, and I mean, I can just say, and by the way, I see everybody's questions in chat. We're gonna start firing those questions over at Gary, which is super cool. And I just want to remind everybody, like, same for me, right? Many of the people in chat I recognize have been with the channel for a while. This wasn't like day one setup, right? Day one was the phone. Day one was the lapel microphone. Day one was, terrible lighting. And, you just kind of, you begin to see like, hey, why does my video not look like that video? Like what, like my face is like shadowy. Why? What is this? So
Yeah.
it's just, you know, I guess just to close out the content part of the conversation, because I have so many people that have said to me, oh, I really want to start one. And I feel like that it's just like cybersecurity where there's this like imposter syndrome that you have to be, Linus Tech Tips before you start.
From yeah. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And people like seeing the journey as well. Like
What's that?
people like seeing the journey too. From
Yeah.
if you start even Tom Cruise didn't start as Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
If he can't do it, then none of us can. It's like, yeah, totally. Just start for sure.
I love it. I love it. I see so many questions. So what I'm going to do,
Loads.
Chad, is I'm going to fire a couple questions that are content related, and I do see some CTI related questions coming in. So let's do a couple content created just to kind of finish this segment, and then we'll get into CTI and really put Gary through his paces. So, yeah. So what Kim said. Whoops, hold on, that's not the right one. What Kim really wants to know, what's your trick for not worrying about it too much? Meaning like just hitting record or making content. Like overall feedback and being out there forever. I trip myself up all the time worrying about that too much.
Yeah, I guess I've been people have been pretty kind. LinkedIn's a really nice place as well, by the way. Like LinkedIn versus Twitter, right? Twitter, you get murdered on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On LinkedIn, it's quite friendly. No one's too offensive. I don't think I've really ever blocked anyone on LinkedIn. So if you're nervous, just record something simple and just put it on LinkedIn, and it'll be quite accepted. YouTube obviously has its algorithm, and YouTube's a bit more of a competition because when you go to YouTube, the videos are right there. On LinkedIn, like it just disappears into the feed. You can't really find
Yeah.
videos again unless you put them in the featured section on your page. So LinkedIn's quite a safe place to practice. But like I just think life's short, just iterate, just make the mistakes and go through the motions, take the feedback on the chin. And by the way, not everyone's feedback is equal. Yeah, like so you don't just because someone says they don't like something doesn't mean that it's the right thing to change. Um, yeah, I would just practice, get the miles in, make the
Yeah.
mistakes.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'd also say too, you can like what I like to do, I post it on YouTube and then I'll upload it to LinkedIn, right? So you can have it in both formats. That way people can see it. I don't understand why why this is a thing, but you can also they like delete after 7 days or whatever, like whatever this like stories thing is. So I mean, if you're really concerned about it being out there, you can put it into these like detonating things. I see it on YouTube now. It's called stories. I think. Have you seen this? Is it showing up in your
no,
dashboard? Well,
I'm not
it might
I'm
be.
not pro enough.
Yeah, well, I think it might be sub count, but anyways, Kimberly asks about editing. Will editing help you get over that? What do you think about editing, Gary?
Editing is so much fun. It's obviously I think it's the most fun part for me because I
Oh my God, I thought you were being sarcastic. Are you
no,
serious?
genuinely, like I've got these massive screens. You can see the reflection. These
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah,
huge
yeah.
screens. I got a 34-inch and a 29-inch ultra wide screens for Final Cut Pro, and yeah, I just really enjoy learning to edit because I mean, go if any of you are go and after this, check out the sort of first 15 to 30 seconds of my first few videos where it's like journalism. If you've seen the channel Vox or any of Johnny Harris's videos, he's a legend. Every video is 1 million views straight away. Uh,
Oh,
m-
that's
I
cool.
I emulated his style because I just loved the minute I watch his videos, I'm hooked. I'm like, he's telling me about why ice cream machines at McDonald's are broke, and I am hooked. I can't stop till the end. And cyber isn't that interesting. It's not as viral as why McDonald's ice cream machines don't work. So if I can take some of his magic sauce and sprinkle it into my videos, then that'll help people enjoy them more, and then learn more and they get more value. So yeah, I would copy someone else and reverse engineer their style. Or if you want, hit me up on LinkedIn. We'll do a video call sometime and I'll chat you through my stuff. I can share tips.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'll just tell you, your mileage may vary because I had to stop doing produced content because editing was so frustrating to me, and now I outsource it. So, you use Final Cut Pro for editing, not right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Chris Kayali uses doesn't use DaVinci. Justabite wants to know how do you plan your content? How far ahead? How do you
Oh
pick
man.
new topics?
So picking you when you're planning your content, try and plan it as far ahead as possible. That's just the best rule. Imagine if Game of Thrones was up against the wall and they're still editing tomorrow night's episode. That would
Hmm.
be a disaster. So just get it as far ahead as you can. I'm usually like 2 weeks ahead. So I've got some time. I can get sick and recover. But I don't hold myself too much to it anymore. I don't need the stress of trying to, you know, keep on top of it. As for topics, uh, it's tricky because I'm trying to bring new things all the time. Because I want to bring more Intel stuff to the table because that's my background and that's my day job, and I haven't even touched it on the channel. It feels quite niche, but I'm gonna try and make it quite interesting, maybe a bit
Hmm.
sexy. I don't know how, but we'll figure it out. So expect more Intel stuff, not just CTI, just Intel in general as well. Um, so yeah, I'll figure that out. But it's very organic. I just sort of think about what I'm dealing with those weeks and days before I start writing something, and then off I go. There's no secret recipe card or something I have. Sorry, buddy.
No, I love it. I love it. I try to plan content out, but I'm much more and I don't know if you're like this, but I'm much more of it's easy if I'm excited about a topic, it's easy to spend the time and invest the time into making the content. So I'm very like flighty, I'm like, oh, like, ew, like I got a Flipper Zero. Let me do a video on it. Like, oh, versus like, planned content. Even my guest, I mean, I'm like 3 or 4 weeks out with guests, and that's like a major win for me to have it that far out. But oh, your audio's cut out, man.
I was on mute. Uh,
Okay.
like Jackery Cider, or even any podcast like Darknet Diaries, I can't imagine what it's like having guests and that cadence of like, oh, one of the guests got sick, so now we have to move to the backup guest, and oh, he's on holiday, so we can't do that. It must be intense.
Oh, dude, it's basically a digital factory, just
Yeah,
manufacturing episodes. He does a wonderful job. That's such a great
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Oh, it's fantastic, and
Yeah.
he must love doing like audio editing, right? Like in Logic or whatever he uses.
I
He's
yeah, he
good.
must. He's a really good guy too. Um, so let's pivot back to your background. Kind of question that is coming up around your military career. I don't know how much you want to talk about your military background, but transitioning out of the military, getting into either cyber or content creation. How was that transition, and what about your passion?
Uh, Yeah, so I was 4 years in the Royal Navy as a communications specialist, but that's not like internet communications, it's radio communications, big antennas and stuff like that. The transition, I didn't really find it that difficult because I wasn't really like a soldier, like a lad, like down the pub drinking pints at the weekends. I like to go take photographs, and I was a bit, I don't know. People, they called us the cheese club because we would like we wouldn't actually go and drink wine and cheese, but that's what they called us. So yeah,
That's a rough.
yeah, I
That's
was
a
always
tough
quite,
beat, man.
yeah, tough beat. Doing web design and stuff like that in my spare time. So yeah, I didn't struggle with the transition, and when I did transition, I sort of went into like a halfway house role. So I was working with loads of people like me, ex-military intelligence. Sorry, after the Navy, I went into Army intelligence for 4 years, and then my first job outside was in a kidnap and ransom SOC in Henley-on-Thames, which was beautiful, down by the river where they do the annual rowing festival, working with loads of ex-military people. So there was a bunch of ex-military folk in a barn all hanging out together, but in t-shirts. So it was quite nice. Literally right by the river. Like it was, you could throw a stone from the office into the
Yeah.
water.
Look at my OSINT. Look at me. Look at me. I'm
Boom.
the captain now, Gary.
Good man. Um, so yeah, I didn't struggle. But I guess my next job when I went into Nationwide, which is the world's biggest building society, I guess when I look back on it, maybe I didn't fit in very well. I don't know. It just um, I was clearly meant to be more in a cyber role than I was doing risk then. Clearly meant to be more in a cyber role
Oh, is this
than
where your disdain for GRC comes from? You can be honest with us. We're friends.
Now, GRC is important. If you don't have enterprise risk, operational risk people, GRC people, and you just leave it to the geeks,
The
you may
cheese
as well
club.
you may as well just not have cyber people and just leave cyber to the IT people. Like yeah, you do need GRC. It's very important. Um, yeah. So, and was well, the last question there was my passion developed from the military?
Yeah.
Not really. I'd always been interested in hacking just from a hacking in perspective, like as a kid watching movies and things.
Hmm.
But just I'm 37, so like the time that I was growing up, there wasn't YouTube or you couldn't learn this stuff as easy, you know. Um, so the passion was there. I just didn't have a way of learning it. And then life happens, and then eventually I was like, oh yeah, that hacking stuff, I should go and learn that. And then it was 2:30, 3 a.m. every night for couple of years really learning all of it, well, as much as I could.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's another thing. Some people push back. It's kind of a hot take, if you will, that I'm firmly of the position that cybersecurity is more than a job. It's like a lifestyle. It's kind of I mean, it's certainly a career, but um, you need to have like interest in it and a passion in it because you have to kind of be doing it all the time. You can have personal interests and hobbies and a family and vacation and stuff. I'm not saying that you like live in the sock 24/7, but like it's just it's so much that you need to be like constantly consuming it in some capacity to really I guess enjoy it and be effective at it. So I don't even know why I started saying that. I guess it's because you got into it and you found yourself staying up late, digging into it. If that was a grind, you'd be like, hell, I'm going to bed. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't. You definitely should like if you're working that late all the time, you definitely need to like reevaluate something. It's fine, if you're young, fit, healthy, and it's like no stress, no. I got two kids and a dog and a wife and a mortgage and job. I got a lot going on. I wouldn't want to be trying to break into cyber now with all this stuff. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
That would be. I'm glad I did it when I did it. So, not to say it can't be done, but it is a lot of work.
It really is a lot of work, which is why you have to make the commitment. We said it earlier. There is a lot of resources out there absolutely free, right? YouTube has a ton of content. So it's not about access to information. It's not about money. It's about time and about commitment and about vigilance and conviction and desire. So I'm 100% with you on that one. I wanted to ask you specifically around cyber threat intel, right? So we just said you can get into it if you're passionate and stuff. Well, you're an expert in threat intel. Couple questions coming up from chat, like where do you go for threat intel, like just in general?
Google, man. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
It depends what it is really. So, I mean, uh, different. So it's cyber. So it's computer based threat, not risk. Threat,
yeah. Hmm.
and that's where your GRC hat will come on. Threats and risks completely different.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I threatened to punch Jerry, but there's no risk because I can't punch him, so it's
Yeah.
irrelevant. But I still threatened him. And then the intelligence is the intelligence part. So if you're being really geeky, you don't collect intelligence, you collect information. So if you want to buy a house on my street and you say, Gary, what's the break-ins like here? How do people break in? Um, do I need to buy a really fancy front door with a big lock? And I'm like, no. You need to buy really expensive glass for your windows because here they don't break in through the door, they cut the glass with a diamond. Yeah. That's threat intel, right? That's peak threat intel, and that's the job, right? To like get to do that for cyber.
Okay.
And the information can come from so many different places. You could be using a vendor to watch a Telegram channel for, say, Killnet, the DDoS group, the Russian state-backed DDoS group, and they might mention the company that you work for, and that's enough. That's enough information to say, right, we need to go and look at what can Killnet threaten us with,
Hmm.
and how do we reduce the risk? Are we exposed? Is there a vulnerability? And is there a risk as a result? So to say like where can you get the intel from? So many places: Twitter, Telegram, all the vendors. It's endless. It's an endless list because you collect the information and then you process it with your lens on for your business, and then you get the intel at the end of it. So it's a weird recipe.
So, do you think it's like do you are you writing reports on that intel to deliver to someone, or like what are you doing with it once you gather it and do something with it? Like what's the what do you what's the output?
Yeah, I mean this kind of we should probably step back a little bit. Like CTI, there's really two ways of doing it. One is where you have someone like me, a CTI team, CTI
Hmm.
person in your business, and they do this stuff. The other one is where you don't have me, and it's just like this. It's just a skill that the SOC has,
Hmm.
where they take the IOCs, the hashes, and the file names, and they share it to some website somewhere, yeah, or they send it out to other organizations, and that's kind of what I do. But uh, that's the worst model of it because the SOC and the IR teams are going to be so busy just day to day. They're
Hmm.
not going to be able to work well with like the CISO functions and risk and audit to produce like the threat landscape. And especially for big companies, the types of companies that I work with, they need that. The risk teams don't know enough about cyber to really understand it. So they need a
Hmm.
CTI team to write those reports and understand the whole landscape to whatever sector it is: energy, finance, manufacturing. Yeah. Um, so if I was in the manufacturing industry working for like a big steel company, big threat there is ransomware. And
Hmm.
let's say you're a US or a German, uh, manufacturing company. That's a big threat, the ransomware threat from that angle. So part of your daily grind would be looking at the ransomware gangs, looking at their new capabilities, what new developments they're doing in the malware space with their ransomware code, figuring out if that would impact your controls, you know, how we have our EDR tool configured. Is that good enough for this new change that Lockbit has made, for example? Well, no, it's not. Right, we're going to have to get a change in and then test it. But all of that would come out of a CTI report that explains the situation in the landscape and all the analysis and the actions and things. And when I say a report, I mean like a PDF or an email or a wiki page or something like that.
So are you going like these Telegram channels and stuff? I mean, are you going into dark web forums? Do you have SOC accounts where you're a member of, these communities to get some of this threat intel? I don't even
Uh,
know if that's something you can disclose. Like
I probably shouldn't, but like, I mean, so on my
that's
personal
fine.
on my personal device in my personal life, I do jump onto a lot of these channels to see what's going on, at the weekends and things in the evenings. Um, to do it at scale, you really need vendor support to do all that stuff because otherwise you would need a CTI team that's 100 strong to go and do a lot of this gathering of information and monitoring of it all. It's quite an intensive collect. You really have to scoop up a lot of data and information to form an intelligence picture, and
Yeah.
it's just much more effective to bring on vendors that are good at certain tasks to say monitor dark web channels.
Oh, I see. So you basically put them in line and they suck up all the stuff and then kind of distill it and then you consume it from them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they'll just do a much better job of that, like from an engineering perspective, and even from like an SLA, service level agreements. That we got a legally binding contract that said that you were meant to deliver that to us, and you didn't. You're fired. You know,
Yeah.
Eh, as we're if you entrust those types of intense tasks to normal employees, it's a funny skill set to
Yeah.
ask
Well,
people to do.
as you're saying it, it makes sense now why it's even a service, that vendors provide, right? Like you
Yeah.
just said, it'd be really challenging to do. It's a unique skill set. Like you're labeling all the pain points on why someone's like, we should offer that as a service, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh,
And
got a
like,
super chat here. Hold on, we got a special sounder for that. Kenneth with the super chat. Thanks, Kenneth.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, Kenneth, for that.
brilliant.
Yeah, so just to kind of round out on CTI, I mean, are there any? I know we kind of talked about a couple tools that you do for like very, specific pointed investigations, OSINT stuff, right? Like Google and Bing and Yandex and whatnot. But are there any kind of like enterprise tools that cyber threat intelligence analysts use that people should be familiar with if they're like, oh, this kind of sounds cool. I'd probably want to get into this.
I guess Showdown would be the biggest one, I would say.
Okay.
It's certainly like it's the easiest one to learn. It's like the most sort of accessible one for everybody
Yeah.
because you can go on Showdown and when a new vulnerability comes out that's really bad, like Log4j or some of these big things, um, you'll quickly on Twitter you'll see searches for Showdown, like search queries, and when you click that search query, it'll bring up like a map that says, "Wow, there's 350,000 machines exposed on the internet." Jazzy Jazz says Shadon, no Shodan. Swap the
Yep.
O and the A.
Yeah. And I'll bring it up on stream while
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking,
it's
Gary.
really good, and you can go and see all sorts of webcam feeds and things on there. It's good for executive demos as well, if anybody's thinking about using
Yeah,
it.
there's some good eye candy on this.
Yeah. So
Here, hold on, let me do this off stage so you guys don't see my credentials.
password 123.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I got it for $5 because you can buy a lifetime membership. There is a free model, by the way. It is free, but if you want the sort of premium access, you can get lifetime membership for like $5 on Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. So don't leave this call and go buy it. Just wait if you can.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, it's really good, and there's enough there for beginners to like go and get their teeth into. But there's loads of CTI.
It's fine.
GitHub
I'm
pages.
sorry. I just logged in with an account that it should have been disabled because it's from a company I used to work for. So there we go.
Identity and access management, eh?
Yep, yep, yep. So yeah, I've got Shodan up now. Sorry, like I feel like you've already kind of like said all the cool stuff, but I didn't realize that you used it as much as you did.
Secure. Someone's just said Securicata. Yeah, that's another cool one.
Suricata, yeah. All right, well, hold on. My Shodan demo sucked, so we're just gonna move on from that. Sorry about that, chat. Let me see. I'm looking at. We're getting close to the time here, so I want to be mindful of that. Here's a fun question, Gary. What's the weirdest thing you found through OSINT?
Oh, I remember when I first started, like, we talked about this earlier, like, OSINT's one of those things that people dabble in before they get into cyber sometimes, because it's like, it's cybery-ish. But
Well,
I
who
remember,
hasn't, like we said this before, who hasn't met someone or, someone that you're attracted to and gone to Facebook and like typed in their name, right? I mean, that's OSINT.
yeah, exactly, that is absolutely OSINT, in its truest form. But yeah, I was digging around on Shodan and I was on a webcam watching a lady in Brazil in her office with documents coming out of the printer.
Mhm.
I was like, this is just this. And that's when I really got sort of hooked on Showdown for a while. But yeah, that was a pretty weird, just a weird thing. Like, do people realize, like, you know, there could be people on this call who work in small businesses that have cameras but you weren't responsible for installing the camera, and you got no idea if that camera's on showdown. So you're at
Like a
your desk.
live feed. Yeah.
Yeah, you're at your desk, picking the crumbs out of your beard, and Gary's watching. Gary's watching on port 443.
Yeah, I love it. You can see here. I don't know if you use Insect Cam. That's another fun one. It basically does all the cameras. So there's a hotel in Sochi, Russia.
Wow.
So I do like this particular one, but this is very similar to Shodan. It's just this happens to be um, just cameras, but you
Nice.
you can get real feeds, and then of course see how it's you can see the time at the top clicking like this is live.
Oh yeah,
So
I'll check that out.
yeah, it's a good one. Add that to your repo list. Oh, we got another super chat. This is coming from Gary's channel. So I don't know if this is your super chat or my super chat, Gary. But a pedantic peasant giving us what is that? Great Britain pounds? Is that what that is?
Yeah, you're right. It is. That's like, is that not the first currency? No, it can't be the first currency.
So peasant has a question. Many don't have resources to do CTI. Should they focus on asset and vulnerability management, consuming those external professional sources of CTI?
Oh, you mean like professional, like companies don't have resources to do CTI?
Yeah,
As
I
in,
thought he meant to like develop their own skill, but yeah, I think what the
yeah,
question
yeah,
is, you're right, is like as a company, what do you do?
yeah. I do think at the minute CTI is somewhat reserved for bigger companies. If you're a small shop, you're probably better off outsourcing it, like trying to bundle it into some of your other tools. If you sign up to some managed, EDR service, maybe you can say, hey, can you give me a report every month on like the threat landscape?
Hmm.
Just so that you're aware of what's coming in. Because like if your boss says, hey, what's the biggest thing that's coming in user mailboxes? Well, I don't know. You know, they're going to want to know that it's Sokulish or Imitet or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So yeah, being able to answer those simple questions is useful. But yeah, CTI is a tricky one to do on the cheap because you have to have a lot in place to pull it off. Yeah.
yeah, and you're 100% right too. Like if you do have an EDR solution, almost all of the major EDR vendors will provide. I mean, usually they'll give you like an account rep or a customer success person, and they meet with you like as often as you want to give you those briefings on this is what we're seeing because they have all the telemetry from all their clients as EDRs, so they can do that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the benefit. Like you can look across an entire sector. You couldn't do that on your own. You can only
Yeah,
do that through the vendors, really.
that's a good point. Like you're bringing up some really interesting points about like you know challenges. Like I do a threat briefing every morning, but that's much different than it's still threat, but it's different in many capacities. So yeah, that is really interesting.
And I guess like for anybody wondering like how does CTI like actually impact the end result? Um, go back to the house example earlier where Jerry buys a house on my street and he goes and spends by default he spends loads of money on like the front door and the lock and things, but he just wasted a load of money because bad guys here don't break in that way. Yeah. If you'd listened to the CTI, we would have told you they come through the glass. You need the glass. Yeah. You just wasted money. So do that at scale across every different type of, web application firewall, email gateways, etc., etc. That's where the CTI stuff can really help. And if you want to know more about like the types of things that we look for, it's typically things in the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So if you're not
Okay.
aware of the MITRE ATT&CK framework, anybody go check that out. It's a good resource. It's a
Oh yeah, it's an
Yeah,
excellent resource.
yeah.
Like for multiple reasons. This has been a fantastic conversation, Gary. It just like I love it. I'm glad to have met you. I'm glad you came on. Excuse me. I know chat's loving it. I know we didn't get to all the questions, but a lot of nice things being said in chat here. You've totally turned me on to cyber threat intelligence and actually have like a healthy appreciation that it's not just signing up for a threat intel feed and being like, this is it. Like I'm doing it, you know. But before we close out, I do want to ask you. So you just said like, oh, Jerry, you wasted your money on the door and the locks. You're an idiot. You should have. I mean, is this what you're telling your clients? Like, oh, nice job on the Nice job on those backups. That's not what you need, my friend.
No, you would definitely want to be a bit more tactful, I
Oh,
guess,
okay, okay.
than that for sure.
I wasn't sure if that was like part of the perks of being a CTI analyst, that you can just
No,
wag your finger in the executive's face.
no, I think if you spell it out quite well in a threat briefing or something, that the primary threat vector is through the window with the diamond cutter, not by picking the locks, then you'll see a few heads turn in the room. Yes, and
I love it.
I see my buddy Michael Elliott is in the chat. Hi, Michael. He's a
Okay,
legend.
Michael Elliott. What's spot on? Is Michael I don't know, like I don't speak British. Is spot on like mean like he agrees with your comment?
Yeah, that's it. Spot on, Jerry. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. See, look at that. I'm a 3-day streak on learning British on Duolingo, so I'm working on it. So, guys, Gary's YouTube channel is right here. The guy's only got 4,000 subs right now, and he is a wealth of information. He makes awesome content, and his thumbnails are on point, y'all. So I'm gonna drop a link in chat. Like, go check out his channel. If you like it, give it a sub. I'd almost argue sub, and then if you don't like it, unsub. If it was me. But Gary, how can people, besides the YouTube channel, as we're rounding up, how can people get more Gary?
I guess go to LinkedIn, and you got the little website bit on LinkedIn where you can click that, or just go to GaryRuddell.com, and everything is there pretty much. Yeah, and I mean, if anybody has it, I know we haven't answered a lot of questions. If people want to, connect with me on LinkedIn after this, I'll just accept every connection request, and you can DM me questions, and I'll just, I'll spend a lot of time on this thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
it's no problem.
If you want, we can do a lightning round. I'd be willing to do lightning round.
Yeah, we can do lightning. Yeah, where I'll go quick. Yeah.
20-second responses. I'm looking for all the questions. If you have any questions, we're gonna do a lightning round. Just drop them in chat if I haven't answered them yet. I see a couple that I flagged. We'll go through them first. Ready? Carrie's got a quick question. Frustrated with skills fixing computers. It's not really threat intel. How can he get into cyber? So Carrie's looking to break into industry. What's a power tip for someone trying to break in?
I would, quickest tip, go and watch Jerry or I's channels. If you want the shortest path, go to my website, go to articles. There is an article called Break Into Cyber.
Right.
Read that article. And then,
all right.
And then action it. If you do everything on that, I'll see you in 2 years and you'll be interviewing for cyber roles. That's it.
All right, hold on. I just tagged Carrie in chat and dropped that link. Thank you very much. Omar wants to know, what are your thoughts about a master's degree in cybersecurity? Is it worth it?
I don't have any degree worth talking about. But yes. I mean, if you're in that point of life where it's like you're 21 and you just finished a degree, yeah, go on to a master's degree. You got plenty of time. But do you need it? No.
All right. How good is coding, or like how much coding do you need to be an ethical hacker? You have
Irrelevant.
an OSCP. What do you think?
Irrelevant. Coding is not hacking, just like IT isn't cyber. If you can do it, cool. But I mean, it'll be helpful if you want to go extreme. You want to go black hat and build your own tools for the NSA and whatever. Yeah, you're going to need to know how to code probably. But there's people that work in cyber that don't do any coding. Jerry, me.
Well, yeah, and what I do when I do it, I wouldn't call it coding because it works, but it's ugly.
Yeah, cobble it together.
Yeah. What about hacking IoT? How can you get into that?
I have no idea, but I would Google it, or I would ask ChatGPT, and it would probably give you a better answer than I would because I've never done it.
Yeah, Alex, I'll give you an answer. So what I would do is I would go to any type, basically learn through practice, right? So go to any of these IoT camera websites, download a firmware update, which will basically be a new operating system. You don't even need the device. Take the thing into your computer, use a program called Binwalk, BINWALK. Use it to extract the file system on it, mount the file system, go through it, look at what's going on there. There's usually a stripped down version of OS called BusyBox. You can Google that. You'll learn about that. And then you can actually find like hard-coded passwords, 0 days, private certificates, all that crap. And then you can actually get a CVE or post about it and then make a name for yourself. It's kind of crazy how easy it is because those firmwares are trash. That's what I would do.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Which one's Jerry?
I'm Jerry. I'm Jerry. Thank you. All right, I think that's going to do it. That was a fun lightning round. I want to say thank you to everybody who joined. Gary, I always give the guests the final kind of 60 seconds for final thoughts. Anything you want to share with the community here?
If you want to be in cyber, you can absolutely be in cyber. There is nothing holding you back probably other than yourself. So just spend the time, learn the basics, and get into it. Drop me a message, drop Jerry a message. It'll happily help you. And if you want to make content, again, just start making content. Even if you just make it for yourself and you write some little blog posts for yourself as a journal, you'll get better over time, and then you can start sharing that stuff to the world when you're ready. Both are incredibly valuable skills.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you got value from the stream. I personally did. I'm happy to call Gary. Gary's over here. I'm happy to call Gary a friend now. I'm really happy to have met you, Gary, and I hope we can continue to collaborate in the future.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for having me, and nice to see everybody here.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Remember, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., we got the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. I'm Jerry. He's Gary. Until next time, stay secure. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber.